Well, good morning, folks. I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you for allowing me into your homes. I have something to talk about this morning regarding veterinarians. And it seems like in most towns and communities, there are veterinarians who wait on and administer to small animals like cats and little dogs, what have you. And that's ever so important. But our farmers need someone who can reach out and service and take care of big animals. And it seems like that calling is not as popular with many professionals as it is with the small animals. So to address this need, there's something available called large animal grants. And this large animal grant program will soon be accepting applications from prospective veterinarians. Large animal veterinarians in North Carolina are eligible to apply for up to $25,000 in funds to help support their large animal practice. This $125,000 fund was created by the North Carolina General Assembly in 2023 and will be administered by the North Carolina Ag Finance Authority. The funding opportunity is available to veterinarians who practice in one of the 70 North Carolina counties with a population of 100,000 or fewer and that spend 30% or more of their patient care involved in large animal veterinary care. North Carolina, like many other states, has a deficit of large animal veterinarians. In many areas of the state, a single veterinarian may be the only option within 100 square miles, said Agriculture Commissioner Steve Troxler. These funds can be used for repayment of educational loans related to the recipient's veterinarian degree, to purchase equipment or technology for use in the practice, or any additional uses the advisory committee determines is appropriate to promote and develop large animal veterinarians to practice in the designated counties. The application period runs from June 17th through August 16th, 2024. And like I say, this is being administered by the North Carolina Ag Finance Authority, which is affiliated with the Department of Agriculture, and etc. The Large Animal Health Enhancement Advisory Committee will make the determination on grant dispersal based on eligible applications. This committee includes the North Carolina Commission of Agriculture, the State Veterinarian of North Carolina, the Executive Director of the North Carolina Agricultural Finance Authority, one designee from the Food Animal Scholars Program, North Carolina State University, College of Veterinary Medicine, two practicing large animal veterinarians, two representatives of the livestock industry, one designee by the Commission of Agriculture of North Carolina, and one designee by the State Veterinarian of North Carolina. And that is a very fine opportunity. Again, on the farm, there are not that many veterinarians who practice treating and waiting on large animals. And it's ever so comforting and ever so convenient to have somebody who has devoted their time and their lives really to reaching out to the large animals like the cows, horses, etc. I'd like to move along now and give a shout out to a Department of Agriculture employee who has celebrated 50 years of service. His name is Timothy Batten, and he has retired from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Service as of May. Reflecting back on 50 years is no easy task. Neither is filling the shoes of an employee that has tirelessly served the livestock industry in the state for half a century. For Timothy Batten with the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Veterinary Division, retirement is well deserved after a career that saw the eradication of swine, pseudorabies, and an explosion of technology that made work in 1974 very different than the workplace in 2024. Batten began his career with the department on June 3, 1974. He spent a decade in the Meat and Poultry Inspection Service Division before transferring to the Veterinary Division, where he worked as an animal health technician. I was already a husband and a father, fresh out of college, and was hurled into the briar patch of life. Little did I know what lay ahead of me, said Batten. My initial 6 years was spent within the confines of the Meat and Poultry Inspection Service as a meat and poultry inspector. At barely 20 years of age, I found myself working in a slaughter plant, assuring the public of receiving a wholesome product. I was so young that some of the older ladies employed by the establishment called me little boy. During my 6-year stint at this facility, I attended a meat processing school held in Fort Worth, Texas. This trip was my first experience on a jet plane. I felt so out of place, one may have likened me to the Beverly Hillbillies. I also attended training for important meat inspection in Charleston, South Carolina. In 1981, I accepted a promotion as Meat and Poultry Inspector Level 2 in charge of a processing slaughter facility until 1984. In August of 1984, I transferred to the Veterinary Division, added Batten. My work had become stagnant in the meat packing industry, and I felt I needed a change. Trading off one for the other was a breath of fresh air. I now worked with the regulatory side of the livestock industry as an animal health technician. My initial daily tasks within the Veterinary Division involved regulatory inspections in livestock markets 5 days per week. Other duties included quarantines, issuing movement permits, animal disposal compliance, animal welfare inspections, and state fair activities. Batten was on the front line of the swine pseudo-rabies eradication, which involved blood sampling thousands of animals to eradicate the disease from North Carolina's swine industry. He received a Superior Service Award for his contribution towards the eradication program in August of 1993. I recall numerous changes over the past 50 years, said Batten. Ink pens, pencils, and paper forms have fallen victim to technology in the form of computers, tablets, and cell phones. My first computer was a Toshiba brand that would freeze in a heartbeat, having to be shut down to resume and resulting in the loss of accomplished work. A download would tie up my home line phone for 12 hours or more, and I would pray it was not interrupted with an incoming call as the download continued to display on the screen, crunching and uncrunching. That's a term. Technology continued to unveil answer machines, pages, bag phones, and cell phones. In 2005, Batten accepted the position of technical trainer with the Veterinary Division. In addition to his animal health technician activities, he assumed responsibility of updating North Carolina general statutes and training for newly hired animal health technicians. He also assists supervisors in locating statutes and codes. His training with the Veterinary Division led Batten to Ames, Iowa in 2008 for swine health training programs, and again in 2013 for a program disease field skill course. In 2011, he attended basic agricultural emergency response training in Anniston, Alabama. Since 2000, he has worked extensively with the Benson Chamber of Commerce and the Benson Kiwanis Club regarding equine infectious anemia compliance during the Mule Days event held in late September. In 2002, Batten accomplished an article in 2002, Batten composed an article encouraging horse owners to protect their investment by testing the animal for this disease annually. The article was entitled Horse Sense, and it was published in The Horse magazine. Tim Batten is a tremendous wealth of knowledge and experience for the veterinary division, said Dr. Catherine Harris, Director of Livestock Health Programs. Not only is he extremely familiar with our North Carolina livestock industry, producers, and administrative code, he also happens to grow wonderful cantaloupes. Throughout my career, I have answered to 7 different immediate supervisors, 2 meat and poultry directors, 1 animal health technician supervisor, 6 assistant state veterinarians, livestock health program directors, and 5 state veterinarians, said Batten. My career with the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services has allowed me to meet and collaborate with most amazing workforce, for which I am eternally grateful. However, I am now ready to retire, step aside, and devote the balance of my life to friends and family. That's a great affirmation. Institutional knowledge is irreplaceable, and despite how qualified the replacement, a deep void is made when a long-time employee chooses to retire. Batten has served the state well past when others choose to retire, and he will be missed. Congratulations, Timothy, for your half-century of service. So we applaud his yeoman's efforts, and the veterinary industry, which overlaps into the care and keeping of all our farmers with livestock, is eternally grateful. And we've just heard that profile on a gentleman named Timothy Batten, a 50-year employee of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. Last week we were talking about how deer antlers grow and the rapidity, or how quick they can grow and develop, and it's amazing. A deer is classified as in a scientific name as a cervid, cervid, and I'll pick back up on this growth cycle from here. Male cervids have 2 soft spots on their skulls called pedicels. In the spring or early summer, 2 nubs form at the pedicels and are covered in a sensitive type of skin called velvet. The velvet is packed with blood vessels that rapidly bring blood, oxygen, and nutrients that the antlers need for growth. The antlers grow from the tip, starting as cartilage and then calcify into hard bone as they go. A skull of a stag with lopsided antlers is an illustration of this. During the velvet stage, cervids try to avoid contacting their antlers with just about everything. Injuries to velvet during antler growth can cause changes. Abnormalities and injuries to other parts of a deer's body, such as the leg, can affect antler growth too. Once the antlers are fully grown, the velvet is cut off from the blood supply, and it dries up and dies before getting rubbed off by the animal. By the time the rut kicks off, that's usually in the early part of November to the mid-November time, the velvet is cut off, it dries up before getting rubbed off by the animal. Then by the time the rut kicks off, a deer's antlers are actually dead bone. Throughout the season, the connections between the pedicles and the antlers weaken, and usually during the winter, well after mating, the antlers fall off. In a matter of weeks, the cycle starts all over again. Depending on the period or amount of sunlight during the day that a male cervid is exposed to, this is called a photoperiod, they will either be growing or shedding their antlers. Generally, the more sunlight there is, the more the antlers will grow. The charge in light triggers the pineal gland to tell the pituitary gland to release more testosterone. With the boost in testosterone, deer antlers can grow up to 2 inches per week, and in some cases, for instance, bull moose can put on a pound of bone per day during the peak of their growth cycle. Here is a timeline of the growth cycle of deer antlers. April through May, considered spring, antler growth begins from the permanent bases on the male cervid skull. It is slow to start, growing from the tip out. Then we come from and move to June to July, midsummer. The growth continues. Then it escalates into September as fall draws near and the days get shorter. The growth of the antlers slows. Then from October through December, considered the fall to winter, the hardened antlers are now dead bone, and at this point bucks or bulls use them for the things they do best during the rut. That is rubbing trees, fighting, showing off to females, and getting into all sorts of trouble. Then following that, they shed their antlers, and then the growth cycle starts all over again along about the following March, late March or April. This is all the time I have today, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you allowing me to be with you. I look forward to coming in and talking to you every week. I look forward to next week. Have a good week, and God bless.